So they just recently released the patent for the formula for aspartame. Aspartame, the brand name of aspartame is Nutrasweet. It's a diet artificial sweetener. It has 0 calories. And as many of you know, I'm very much against artificial sweeteners. But what I found interesting in the patent is that the way they harvest the aspartame is with E. coli. What happens is they take a pool of genetically modified E. coli, and their byproducts that they produce include aspartic acid, and they use that aspartic acid to produce aspartame. Now, some people are calling it E. coli poop, that it's the defecation of E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria, and technically bacteria don't defecate, but they do produce byproducts. And in this case, one of the byproducts of E. coli is aspartic acid. Now, Nutrasweet is a combination of 2 amino acids, aspartic acid and phenylalanine. When you put the 2 amino acids together, they create a specific shape that your tongue registers as sweet. You see, the way your tongue receptors measure sweet is by the shape of a molecule. So when you take these 2 amino acids, aspartic acid and phenylalanine, and put them together in a certain way, the shape of the molecule is similar to sugar, so for that reason it tastes sweet. Now the problem is that phenylalanine is a very powerful neurotransmitter. It's an amino acid, yes, it's an essential amino acid that our body uses to help produce proteins, but when it's in an unnatural form like aspartame, your brain gets flooded with this very powerful neurotransmitter that acts as an excitotoxin that hyperstimulates certain cells in the brain. One of the areas that it hyperstimulates is the hypothalamus, and in the hypothalamus you've got cells that are in charge of how fat or thin you are. They're in charge of your fat programs. They get hyperstimulated by phenylalanine, and it causes them to become resistant to the hormone leptin. And leptin is the master hormone that regulates your fat programs. And when the cells of your hypothalamus become insensitive to leptin, basically your body gets transformed into a fat storage machine. You become hungry all the time, your metabolism slows down, you go into fat storage mode, you crave more food, you crave sweeter foods, and you just keep gaining and gaining. And to me, this is a perfect example of how the whole calories in, calories out paradigm is flawed, because here you have a sweetener that's got 0 calories. Yeah, that's great, but it causes a hormonal environment and a cellular environment in your body that causes you to keep gaining and gaining. So maybe you don't gain any weight from drinking the soda, but you're hungrier all the time, you crave more sweets, and you eat more food, your metabolism slows down, you keep gaining and gaining. That's because of the hormonal environment that's being created from the diet soda. So everything we do from a mind-body perspective is create a positive hormonal environment in your body that's conducive to weight loss. And diet sodas like aspartame clearly do not create the proper hormonal environment. The fact that they're harvested off of genetically modified E. coli makes it even worse, and it's just frankly gross. But more than anything, you're creating a hormonal environment that causes you to gain weight. The same way that MSG, monosodium glutamate, the flavor enhancer, also causes the same excitotoxic reaction in your brain that causes leptin resistance and causes you to gain weight. In fact, when they want to make a mouse fat, to study them for biochemical reasons, one of the things that they do is they feed them MSG because they know that large quantities of MSG cause you to gain weight. Well, it's the same with diet soda. Large quantities of aspartame will cause you to gain weight. It'll also cause headaches, dizziness, fogginess, bipolar disease, heart problems. Lots of problems can be caused by this artificial sweetener. So I recommend when you sweeten your foods, you use more natural sweeteners like coconut palm sugar, which is very easy on the digestion and acts as an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and doesn't elevate your blood sugar too much. Stevia is great, but the problem with stevia is sometimes it has a little bit of bitter aftertaste. When you combine the two, you get a really good sweetener. So I recommend you use those type of sweeteners. I like some of the sugar alcohols like erythritol and xylitol, although they are processed, and the processing of them does cause some problems, so have it in small doses. Xylitol is getting a lot of bad press right now, but I think in small quantities, combined with other good sugars like coconut palm sugar and stevia, it's not a bad thing to have. Sucralose is another example of an artificial sweetener that causes problems. Sucralose is where they take a glucose molecule and they take away some of the carbons and put chlorine. So it still has the same shape molecularly, but you're taking in chlorine instead of carbon. Chlorine, once it goes into your intestines, kills your friendly bacteria. That causes inflammation, and the inflammatory hormones, as a result, cause you to gain weight. The inflammatory hormones activate your fat programs. So to me, diet sweeteners are a perfect example of how this whole diet mentality, calories in, calories out approach is flawed. What you want to do is take foods that cause the proper hormonal environment that's conducive to weight loss. That's real live foods like omega-3s and live salads and quality proteins, not too many man-made foods, and use real sugars like coconut, palm sugar, and stevia that don't elevate your blood sugar too much instead of these artificial sweeteners. Or you can use fruit to sweeten your foods. You can blend up fruits like apples and apple sauces to sweeten your yogurts and your kefirs. Or blueberries are great. They're sweet. They lower cortisol levels. They're anti-inflammatory. They have lots of antioxidants that help you detoxify your body. But in general, the more natural and real the food you're eating, the more it's going to assist you in weight loss. And the more fake and artificial the food is, the more it's going to cause hormonal problems that are going to cause you to gain weight. So keep your food as real as possible. Enjoy it, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.